fire away. So that's what I'm doing right here, pre-focusing in that area, setting the composition. There we go. Focus on the duck, set the composition, and then I did get that shot. How cool is that? There we go, fire, and then I'm just bursting it. There we go. We got it right there. Look at that waterfall right behind it, but it separates it so nicely. But when it does work out, like it's about to again, watch, I now have a female common merganser. Now watch this little peek behind the rock. Fire off a bunch. Got some great splashes in the background on that one. All right, so here's the setup. There's where I'm shooting at it. Let's hope these ducks come in today. Beautiful sunrise. Good morning, everyone. All right, so I am here in Oregon. Welcome to Oregon. I'm in Klamath Falls. I actually got hired to come out here and do the Winter Wings Festival. I was presenting and doing some outings, which was really fun. So I wrapped that all up yesterday, and I've got in a few days early and scouted around, went to a few different places and narrowed things down. So I think this is a great example of using all of your knowledge and practice that works at local areas and applying it to an area you've never been to, okay? So I came out here, and one of the big things around here is waterfowl, which was really great. And there's a few different waterfowl that I've never photographed before. I'm just gonna switch around so I'm not staring into the sun here. There we go. So yes, there are a few different waterfowl that I guess I've photographed before, but not well. And so when I first got here, I'm gonna wander down to where I've been shooting. I went to a local park, didn't find too much there, just some songbirds and stuff. And then I went to another spot that was recommended to me by one of the local really good birders that was helping out with this festival. And he suggested this particular trail to me. So I followed this trail, and it came down to what you see ahead here, okay? And it's this rapid area. So the first time I walked up here, it was kind of the middle of the day. There were Goldeneye out in the middle. I wasn't sure what kind. Turns out they're all in this area. They're pretty much Barrows, even though there are common Goldeneye here as well. So I walked up to this. Actually, I walked up downstream a little bit further down that way and saw the common, or the Barrows Goldeneye there. And then I saw them up in the rapids here, along with common Mergansers, which is a species I've photographed before, but never really well. And the first thought I had, and I'm hoping you have this thought, when you see something like this, is slow shutter speed motion blur. And I was thinking, if I could get the ducks in this rapid moving water like that, that could be really, really beautiful. So I set in a plan to try and make that happen. So the first time I tried this out, I came down here, and I knew I wanted to come out in the morning. And so that first afternoon, or that first midday when I came out, I scouted this area and figured out where I could shoot. And so I found this spot over here. Let's take a walk down and take a look here. So right by these rocks, you can see, you can get a little bit of a low angle here. Actually, there's a Goldeneye right down there now, but this light is kind of crappy, which is unfortunate. So yeah, I decided at first, I walked down here, and I found this spot here. What you see right here. And I thought this would be great. I could get low. I could be shooting across the water and actually get these birds out in these rapids. So I came out before sunrise and set up in this spot. I didn't have any of this grass that you see here because I didn't think I needed it. I thought if I tucked in these rocks here and laid down low, it would be fine. Turns out I was wrong. So they all like to hang out down there. You may actually see some of them down there right now. And so they would come around this corner right here, and as soon as they got around this rock, they would see me. They could sense me somehow, and they would just kind of perk up and then swim back away. And I wasn't moving at all, folks. I was just sitting there motionless, not moving at all, but these birds were noticing me and swimming back away. So I realized after a while, I laid here about 2 hours that first morning, and I realized I wasn't getting any opportunity. They weren't coming in close, and I didn't think I was going to get any shots. So you see all this dead grass laying around here? So I ripped up a bunch of that, and I set it up here. I was still planning on shooting right here in this area, and so I put it all there, covered everything up, and then made a little tunnel to shoot under because I was kind of laying down sideways. Oh, by the way, I was using this, my impromptu bag. I took a hotel pillow and then some trash bags and put it in that because I didn't want to mess up the pillow, but I needed some cushion to lay on these rocks. These are the rocks I was laying on. It was really uncomfortable. So I set up all this hide. Shortly after that, a female common goldeneye came up in the rapids and I got some shots on that first night. It was kind of sunny like this, a little bit softer, but there was sun on the water, so it didn't look as great as I wanted. And I also wasn't recording for this. I was just shooting on my own. That time I didn't have my recording equipment, so I don't have the footage to show you that, but I can just show you the shots real quick right here. Then I had all the hide set up and I knew, let me come back this morning and try again because now I have the hide set up and it should work good. I should be able to get these birds to come in, and then I'll get the photographs in the soft light before the sun comes up over that hill there. So you see we got this hill that blocks the sun. Even on these clear days like this, it blocks the sun for a while. So I don't have sun coming down in here for a good hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes after sunrise. Then it kind of starts to peek in. And I wanted that soft open light because I planned on doing slow shutter speeds, higher apertures to get that really slow shutter speed. And I knew the blur, like the motion blur of everything would look better with soft light versus sunlight in these spots. Right now it's too sunny to even do a motion blur. I would need like a neutral density filter, which I don't have for this setup. So that was my plan. That was the execution. And I used the methods that I've always used for waterfowl, which is to come in the dark earlier and set up and get low and shoot that way. And it worked. So I did that today. I thought everything was going to go well. Nothing was coming up. Nothing was coming up. But then I kept seeing them, instead of up in here where I wanted them, I kept seeing them hanging out down there. So I finally decided to switch from this spot here, and I tucked in back there and shot up that way. So basically the way the camera's pointing, you can see right there, and you'll see in the footage. So this was the view right here, okay? This looked a little bit better. I was able to look out like this and stay tucked down in here. You can see I'm kind of in with these grasses and rocks back here, and it kind of gives me cover from all the ducks that are hanging out that way, and then they were just swimming up this way upstream, and then I'd get them kind of hanging out in here. So I was able to get 2 opportunities with a goldeneye and another opportunity with a female common merganser, which was really cool. I do see that goldeneye still up there, so I'm going to keep an eye on it because I'd love to try and get some rapid action as it comes back through. So we'll see if we can get that. I thought I was done, but we'll see if we can get something cool here at the end. Might as well give it a shot, right? Oh, and here comes some more ducks flying. Oh, those are mallards, whatever. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's definitely something a little different. I did not choose this spot for high odds to get a lot of different variety or a lot of consistent shots. I knew this was going to be low odds, especially shooting these really low shutter speeds. Even if I had the opportunity, it's really easy to blur all the shots and not get anything sharp. But I've looked through, I think I got some sharp ones. I don't think they're amazing, but I think they're solid. I'm happy with them, and they are unique. So that is the one good thing they really have going for them. And so that was my choice today, was to try something a little bit different, to get something unique and get a little bit out of my comfort zone, shoot something more challenging. It was painful to lay here, I can tell you that right now. It was not a comfortable spot to lay here for these couple of hours. It was cold and uncomfortable on the rocks, but that's the only way I could do it to get these shots. And I don't think anybody else would be doing that stuff. So that's one of the points I want to get across, is sometimes you got to really push yourself to try and get something different, get unique. And it's not always going to work out, but if you do a little scouting, use some of your past knowledge, it should work out. All right, thanks everybody. I hope you enjoy the shoot. See you later. All right, so I just wanted to hop back on and let you know that I am officially done now. Definitely the sun's really bright and the duck eventually left. But I just wanted to hop on here real quick and reiterate that today's lesson for me is I want to really get the point across to try something different. Try something and take a chance. You know, it doesn't always have to be a guarantee. Of course, it's great when we can increase our odds the most to get the best shot or make sure we're going to get some kind of shot, but sometimes I think it's worth taking the chance and trying something that is low odds but may turn out unique and beautiful. Different just for different sake isn't necessarily always great, but if you think it's different and unique and can turn out really pretty to look at in the end, or just have really cool, unique behavior or really unique, cool location that's different, it's worth a shot sometimes, even if you think or know that the odds are really low and you're probably not going to make something happen. When it does work out, it's really worth it. It's a wonderful reward, and it gives you something unique to share. There's only so many times I can try that. I know that because sometimes I just want to go out and shoot. I want to get some good, solid photos. So in those circumstances, I'll go to the places that are better and more reliable. But you know, this is my first time in Oregon, and after 1 or 2 mornings of things that were semi more reliable, I was all about pushing it. The last 3 days, or 2.5, 3 days, all I've done is take chances and try to get these very unique shots. And it was really low odds. I didn't get a ton of opportunity, but I think I got some that I'm happy with. So I just wanted to share that point with you, and happy shooting to everybody. Hey, good morning everyone. This is going to be a really fun shoot. Alright, so this is the view walking up there. It was a beautiful sunrise and certainly dark when I got there. That was the whole point though. With waterfowl, almost no matter where I'm photographing them, I love to show up in the dark well before it's bright enough for them to easily see me, or in this case, before it's bright enough for them to fly into where they're going to be. So when I got here this early, checking up and down the river there at the spot I was going to be at, no ducks around, which is perfect. I can get in, get settled in, set up before they even arrive, so that way once they do arrive, absolutely no disturbance for when I get there. So you can see I'm walking down along the shoreline. I have the whole hide already set up from the day prior, which is great, and then I'm able to settle in my spot. This is basically the view out of the little hole where I had in the hide to kind of shoot through, which is where I started until I moved to here, a higher perspective, and then I had some birds. It didn't take long for me to get a usable shot on this one. 1/10 of a second. You can see I'm waiting for anytime the bird is looking towards me and holding relatively still. So this common Goldeneye is certainly going to be a challenge. You can see how fast the water's moving and all of that, but keep an eye out. Watch when I fire off some bursts here. So we'll wait for a head turn. There we go, fire, and then I'm just bursting it. And there we go. We got our first shot. Now, let's take a look at the composition and how that worked in this scene. All right, we're back to before I took the photo again, and you can see I'm generally trying to keep the bird in the top right. If you look above the bird, it's kind of messy up there. I do, however, want to include some of that waterfall that's off to the left-hand side in the background there. So watch when the bird comes up again. You'll see I start to try and compose. There we go. You can see the waterfall up there, but I'm leaving the bird kind of center, but there we go, off to the right, and then just have a little bit of that waterfall. We're getting the steam, the fog, and all that, and that's when I got the shot. All right, so back to just watching this duck move around. Let's see what it does. Basically, every time it popped up, I tried my best to kind of like lock in on the bird, but it's challenging in these wavy conditions. This is what it looks like, the wide angle over the scene. So anytime the duck dove, I usually took my eye out, looked around, waited to see it surface again, and then eye goes back into the camera, try and start tracking him. How cool is this though? It's crazy exciting trying to shoot something like this, completely different. I'm really taking a chance here. Just going with these incredibly slow shutter speeds, 1/10 of a second at f7.1. I am shooting full manual here. Here we go, we got another burst there. Now you can see the duck is sort of moving there. I'm trying to lock the eye tracking onto it. Got it. And I gotta say, in general, I'm just firing away here. Anytime the duck is facing me in a decent direction, I'm going for it. This section of the waterfall ended up being a little bit better. There's just a nice sense of movement there. A little bit cleaner, a little bit less of the rocks. there's a lot of good white water in there, but the duck was doing a lot of diving there. However, I was able to get a shot. In any case, like I was saying, full manual exposure here because I just want to be able to dial in these settings and keep that slow shutter speed, not have my exposure bounce around with an auto ISO thing. Look at that. You can see that mist kind of flowing off the water. It was nice and cold out. The water was a little bit warmer. There we go, trying to get a shot here. At this point, I'm at 400 millimeter, but in a little bit, I will throw the teleconverter in. I'm all about getting the scene here. Again, the top of the scene seems a little bit busier, plus the bottom shows more of the movement. It's got more of the moving water. That's what I'm after. A lot of times I struggled to get focus on the bird, so I would just focus on the water basically right near the bird. You can see me switching back and forth between, this is the 3D tracking, and then when the small red or green box comes up in the middle, that is single point autofocus. Because I was at F9, I was basically like, you know what, I see where the bird keeps working. I'm just going to pre-focus on that, and then when it comes up, I'm just going to fire away. So that's what I'm doing right here, pre-focusing in that area, setting the composition. There we go, focus on the duck, set the composition, and then I did get that shot. How cool is that? A wonderful sense of movement in that image. I really like how the image flows, and it just worked out. I had to shoot a lot to get that, though. All right, back to the live action. Look at that. How cool is that they just can swim in that water, survive in there, and feed in there. It's just kind of mind-blowing to me that they're in such fast-moving water and doing no problem staying in there. I don't know about maybe no problem, but... All right, so sticking with those settings, that's basically it, you know. Every time the bird comes up, focus on it, try my best. If the eye tracking locked on, I would go for it. If not, I'm using single point, just pre-focusing in an area. There it popped up, and I just shoot away. It's really in the speedy waterfall over there. And then I think, I don't know if it went over the edge there or if it stayed in there. Let's see what happens. I can't recall. Oh, stayed up in there. Yeah. So, very challenging condition. Now, the one thing you'll notice here, I do not have good background separation. I'm slightly shooting down on these, although with the elevation of the kind of the rocks, you know, upstream, I'm not shooting that down on it, but here I'm really shooting down on it. And you can see no background separation, but I have the advantage of the slow shutter speed. I'm looking for the movement. The movement is going to separate the background and the foreground from the bird. And you're going to see that perfectly in this next shot. So when the duck comes up, I'm going to be taking a shot right in this general area here. There we go. We got it right there. Look at that waterfall right behind it, but it separates it so nicely. And I got the waterfall there. That one, look how I'm composed, right? Put the bird a little bit low on the frame, include that rock, and we get the waterfall. Then it took off. I think it just went upstream to feed too. But you can see how important it was to hold that composition. Here's what the wide scene looks like. So now we're going to be waiting for the next bird to come in, and basically just nestled right in with all this cover around me. It was enough to keep myself hidden from them and allow them to come in. And here we go. We have another Goldeneye. There we go. This one is, I think, a young male. The last one was a female. And again, just trying to take these shots. We're stuck again with little to no background separation because I'm shooting down on them. So anything out to the right of me is definitely going to be a shooting down situation. Anything upstream, because of the elevation change there in the river, I'm shooting a little bit more eye level. But I really have some good movement here. So you can see there the duck went down again. And so then, yeah, just wait and keep the eyes open, watch for them to surface again. And then as soon as I see them, try and get that lens back on, try and get some focus, see if I can wrangle in some sort of composition. You know, the birds are obviously moving quickly. Here we go. He's just kind of centered in here. And then look, he just decides to float downstream, but then turns back into stream. And then all of a sudden, it works. He pauses just enough, holds really still. I held still enough, and I got that shot. So I fire off a burst there, and then he's back down again. So this is simply the repeating over and over again with this kind of stuff. I'm not paying as much attention to foreground, background. Composition is still important, of course. So you will see over and over again, any chance I can get like a good lock on the head there or the eye. I start in the center, but then I start trying to put, look, more space, just let them drift off to the right there. And then usually by the time I dial in that composition, the bird dives again. So certainly incredibly challenging kind of situation just for if anything, getting focus, let alone some kind of composition. But then add into the fact we're shooting at 15th of a second of a bird swimming in fast-moving water, and we've created a lot of things working against us here. But when it does work out, like it's about to again, watch, I now have a female common merganser. Look at that. Wonderful sense of movement. You can really get that feeling of how fast the river's moving with the slower shutter speeds. Now at this point I am up to a 15th of a second, mainly because it's getting brighter out. You can see, look at the light starting to shine. It's clearing. The sky is not cloudy. And yeah, I'm starting to get some light. You can see it especially on the foreground of the river there. So even with my ISO as low as it can go, I've had to get the aperture up to 7.1 and a 15th of a second. Now I'd prefer a 10th of a second because I think it shows the water blur more, but I didn't want to close down the aperture that much at this point. So I'm trying to still maintain some sort of shallow depth of field. Now watch this little peek behind the rock. Fire off a bunch. Got some great splashes in the background on that one. And there we go. We got another shot. The common merganser was, I think, better than the Goldeneye at really holding still. She would put her head up a lot. You'll notice it again when she comes up. See how kind of almost higher she sits with her head there? Whereas I felt like the merganser was sitting in deeper. But here she's moving a lot. So when she's making forward progress, I mean, I'm shooting these, but there's no chance I'm going to get them sharp at 15th of a second. Look at her. Just scurrying right up that river, and then she'll actually use her wings a little bit to just make that move and make it the rest of the way up the rapids. But how cool is that? Alright, now we're just going to hang out and wait and see what else is going to show up. At this point, I don't have any ducks right in front of me, but it wouldn't take long again for that merganser to kind of show up again. I tried looking upstream there. It's pretty far. I have the teleconverter in, but there's not that much of a sense of movement in the water there. And then she just kind of disappeared. But she did come back in again, and now you can see we really have some brighter sun, right? So a little bit more challenging. So I'm up to F9 now. And you'll also notice, watch the rocks. The next time we're looking through the lens, take a look at the rocks. I mean, you can see it with your eye there. The sun's starting to hit the rocks, starting to hit that foreground white water. So we're getting really bright areas in the scene, and it does not look as cool as it did before when it was all shade, or especially early in the morning when it looked the most ideal, especially with that steam. So the mood is starting to fade here. There still are some shots to be had, but it's becoming more challenging to make anything look really interesting. I'm playing with different compositions there. I tried to get some of the waterfall in on that one, but there's some of the dam metal work up at the top, so I threw the teleconverter in to try and get rid of that. All of these things you're trying to juggle and manage at the same time while trying to just get any kind of shot. Now here I made a mistake. When she swam down river like that, I should have gone higher shutter speed instead of the slow shutter speed. Because watch this, look at her riding these rapids, like right there, she nailed a splash there again. Those would have been great to have a frozen moment, but it happened so quick I wasn't able to think on my feet quick enough and get those settings changed. There's a lot of settings to change when you're in full manual. I mean, basically all three settings have to change dramatically. So then I saw the Goldeneye upstream much further. I did try and go for some frozen waterfall. Look at all that white water behind it. So I try to start out with a higher shutter speed. I took a few of those and then I went into the slower shutter speed. And I'm glad I did because, you know, it's kind of neat looking to your eye, but when you're looking through the viewfinder, you're seeing that sense of motion, that all that rumbling water in the background there. And it looks neat, but in a still photo, it kind of didn't. So I'm glad I went to slower shutter speed because that's kind of what worked out again. I did throw the teleconverter in, trying to find a nice stable rock to rest on because remember, I'm handheld for all of this. I don't have a tripod or monopod or anything. I'm just resting on the rocks and my knees. And I'm trying to compose the bird in the bottom left so I can get all of that water towering above it. And there we go. We get a shot like that. Sense of movement. The light sucks, but it kind of doesn't matter when it's that small and it's more about the scene to me. I mean, of course I'd take better light, but this is what I had to deal with there, right? So trying to make the best out of what I had. 1/15th of a second at f20 to get any kind of slow shutter speed. So ideally I would have had a neutral density filter that could have dropped in to actually cut down the light, but that would make focus a much more of a challenge as well. So anyway, I played around with these shots a little bit more. I did ditch the teleconverter, tried even more scenic, but the bird just kind of disappeared. And then I tried to move in a little bit closer, so I started walking upstream here. And then I actually found another one I think it was a Goldeneye. Yeah, you'll see in a moment here, off to the side here. So not the one that was way upstream. And in fact, it may have been the same bird that just kind of drifted downstream. I can't recall, but I did start playing with that one. You can see it's full sun. There's no humidity. It was cold weather, so it was really bright, kind of getting harsh. But I kept hoping and thinking just the sense of movement might do the trick, you know, and give me a usable shot, even in this otherwise lighting that I would pass on. All right. So that's the thinking, and the reason that I'm still there is trying to just put as many opportunities as I can. And there we go. I did manage to make one. Again, lighting not great, but a good sense of movement there. Kind of proves the concept, but those earlier shots are certainly better. And that's about it, guys. That was kind of the wrap up there. This was something I really enjoyed pushing myself with. You can see the duck is still there. I'm trying to just change perspectives, get myself a little bit lower, get a good stable platform there, and just keep trying. The main goal with this type of shooting is shoot a lot, you know. But I did try to pay attention to composition, and I'm really, really happy with some of those shots, especially the earlier ones that I got. A wonderful sense of movement. Thanks so much for joining, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this and learned a lot. I hope this inspires you to try something different, to push yourself, to just get out of your comfort zone and really just explore what you can do photographically, even when you're in a new area like I was here. Thanks so much, everybody.